Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We're going to get going because we have a nice full agenda, and it's wonderful to see everybody here tonight, especially on a school night. It's the last school night for the year for Warren County Schools. So thank you for coming out. What I hope for you to take away from today's public forum is that you leave here with answers to all your questions. If we don't get to them tonight, contact us, come back. We're all about answering any and all questions. And we want you to take away a confirmation that San Diego Public Library is here to stay. Here, we have built this library together as a community since 1799. Donation by donation, it's Colleen's words, volunteer hour by volunteer hour, and brick by brick. Our families have built Samuels together for our children and for each other, for the betterment of this community. And in the past 50 years, as partners with the town and county leaders. Despite recent comments that the library is a monopoly or a vendor, it is not. It is a community institution. It's a partnership that belongs to all of us here in Warren County, by the people and for the people. The trustees are the stewards for what you and our predecessors have built. We will not stand by while 4 supervisors who appear to have a personal vendetta and a vocal minority representing just 1.25% of the population, trying to assume a moral high ground for the rest of us. They're trying to tear down what this community has built together. The current situation was created out of thin air, in secret, and with no input from the library, and with no valid reason that anyone can understand. That's not democracy. It is unjustified, yet here we are. We've tried to be reasonable and leave room, even if it's just a minute bit of room, for the hope of a resolution. But now it's all out in the open. We are resolute and we're prepared for the legal battles that are probably ahead. Make no mistake, and if you leave here with just one point, be confident that the staff and my fellow trustees are dedicated to exploring all options to do everything within their power to safeguard this library, this community treasure that we've built together. Through the past 2.5 years of controversy, 2.5 years, folks, the library has not missed a beat. The staff continues to provide excellent service with a smile on their face, despite the uncertainties. It's clear that they love what they do and are mission-driven. They are the heart of Samuel's Library. Said I would. I'm not there. I know. They're my heroes. So, my friends, do not give in to Mama. Do not give in to fear. This is a time for all of us to stand up and fight back, arm in arm, against injustice. You are doing that. Y'all are mad. And I'm humbled by your letters to the editor, your posts, your notes of encouragement to the staff that approach the fight from all different angles and give us so many things to think about. And you write so eloquently. Kara, Bill, Samantha, Lynn, Anne, Anna, multiple Johns, Angie, Sydney, Tim, Chris, Jared, Kevin, Kelly, George, Bethany, Catherine, and recently Clara. It takes all of us. And they weren't counting on that. We read everything. You are the backbone of this community. You are the ones out there fighting, voting. Now more than ever, you need to be doing your research and get out there and vote in the primary. It's critical. You are my personal inspiration. I could hear my devout Catholic daughter-in-law speaking in the words Clara wrote. I heard Vanessa's voice, an appeal for the best in all of us. The quote from John 13:35. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Please let us bring kindness back to this community. And regardless of their education, occupation, race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. These words just happen to be what a public library is all about. A place for everyone. We follow the rule of law. The law is on our side, and we will prevail. We will protect this library, and when the dust settles, they'll know this community doesn't back down. We are here to stay. One day I'll forgive this. Okay. So I'm sure you have lots of questions. The hot topic at the moment seems to be what's going on with the FOIA process. We received a FOIA request was sent to Aaron, 10 of them. They're along the top. And if you get a moment to read them, you'll understand what the $10,000 cost of training this FOIA is all about. But when we first got that FOIA, you'll know that they're not signed, this top row, they're not signed, and there's a blank line with the cost estimate, not filled in. So we politely sent it back to the county, cited this particular code right here, saying that we need someone to sign these. You need to have an anticipated amount, and that we needed someone that we could negotiate with, because clearly that's more work that cannot be accomplished in 12 days. So it was going to involve negotiation with someone. So who is the citizen that is making this request that we can negotiate with and talk to back and forth? So a little time went by, and then it came up before the Board of Supervisors meeting, and they voted to go ahead with sending the FOIA request to us. So round 2 comes, and they all come on letterhead from the county. So now these are FOIA requests from the county. So you can read right here that all public records shall be open to citizens of the Commonwealth, representatives of newspapers and magazines with circulation in the Commonwealth, and representatives of radio and television station broadcasting in or into the Commonwealth. So our attorney tells us that the county is a component of the sovereign. So the county is not citizen. So not that we're not willing to do these FOIA requests, we clearly spent a lot of thoughtful time and sitting down and saying, all right, what will this take? How many hours will this take? Who needs to see it and approve it before it goes out? A lot of research. So some of these items go back to 2005. So you're talking almost 20 years for a lot of these documents. Do we even have them? Where are they? They're not all digital. That only happened in the last, 10 years or so. They're in a box. They're in storage. Do we even have it? It's going to take research to do that. Eileen, as our director of operations, is really the only one with the history to answer these questions that go back to Villa Avenue, that go back to the beginning of this building. How much time can we expect to pull Eileen away from her duties to fulfill this request? This isn't an all-day thing. We have a library to run. So we sat around, Aaron, Eileen, and I, and went over all this, but you're going to need to go to the lawyer to look at before they go out under the current climate and under the situation. And then the ones that involve furniture, we need our accountants to weigh in, because the furniture issues are on our books. All the assets are ours. They show up on our audit, and then the accountant has the depreciation schedule. If you've worked with auditors before, the depreciation schedule is residing at the accountant's firm. But they're insured. They were bought by us. They were sold by us. They were given away by us. We own them. There's just no doubt in any of this. So we're going to need the auditor to weigh in and say, here's your record of all the furniture that you bought. That's going to cost. That's, over and above what our audit is planned for. So that's an additional expense. So yes, it involves 100 hours of work for all of these, and that stretches out to about 3 months, and at a cost of $10,000 when you add in professional time on top of Biden's time. So does anybody have any questions about the FOIA?
Just curious, when you feel request, is it only the staff? Is it not the staff?
So we'll do the request. I mean, we'll put together the documentation. Our library director will look it over. In some cases, we'll send it on to the lawyer to look over before it's released. And in other cases, we'll call in the auditor to make
Library staff is something.
Yeah, whoever, right. So, it's sitting on QuickBooks if we're lucky. It's a manual receipt if we're not.
It's other lawyer to request asking for payment receipts.
Yeah,
Shouldn't say them.
right.
Yeah.
And then you have to, so we've been accused of it being a technicality. Narrower, otherwise, the county, not an individual, made the request. And the rejection of that forces it into the public sphere. So now we're all talking about this. And the fact that the county would be spending significant taxpayer dollars. So is this really what we want our taxpayer dollars going to when the assets are clearly on the books and have been on the books for years and years and years? It shows that, I just don't know what else to say about the assets. They're ours.
I'm sorry, the facility has a lot of these things.
So thank you. That's, yeah.
There's a just documents and them do 6.
Right. So
They checks. That's it.
right. They're looking for the check that we got from the $1 million, and then and the next year another $1 million. They're looking for that receipt for that when they wrote the check. So that's kind of a head scratcher. Like, you have these documents. Why are you asking us for this? And I invite you to read these because I don't want to read them to you. That'll just take too long. But it's hours and hours and hours of work. And then how long is the lease? I think everybody who's been paying attention knows that we have 14 more years on this lease. So we can say with confidence that Michelle, our treasurer, will go into the financial situation, but we have 14 years on the lease. We own all the assets and we have the money to stay alive. So we're here and we're not going anywhere. So come July 1, come and renew your library card. Come visit us. The circulation would follow. While we're talking about assets, just a quick heads up. Technology, we have this extensive technology schedule. I'd like to introduce you to Jessica Sayers, our one-person IT department. So this week we went over what is it that we have to buy this year in order to stay current, in order to provide the excellent service that we give to all of you. These are the items. The server, you have to keep the server up. We have to protect your data. We have to have firewalls. We have to have Ethernet equipment. Half of this stuff, none of us really understands. What the heck is a NAS data backup system? I'll have to get her, well, not to me, but Louis can help. He knows these things. This is why we have a diverse board. Okay. So when we get into a conversation, he can be like, I can tell you that. But the public needs, we need 10 new computers. So they're on a rotating schedule. Every so many years, you put your computers back out and sell them in fossil, and you get new ones because you don't want to work with a 5-year-old computer. You don't want to work with an old operating system. Last night, we heard that the county had an operating system back to 2002. I mean, come on, if it's at Windows 11, we're in trouble. That's why I'm not in IT. But software, you can see here, software, antivirus, monitors, hotspots. We loan out hotspots at the circulation desk, and you have to pay for the service that supports that, the licenses, our website app to an SPL to go. You can read all this. This is just the technology for this year. Next year, a new set of 5-year will hit. Following year, a new set of 5-year needs will hit. This year, the total for technology is approximately $56,570. And I don't remember seeing anything about that in the RFP bid. Okay, I'm going to try to, I'm going to turn it over to, any questions? More questions, Colleen.
The county initiated an eviction process to streamline, and there's a process of 7 days. They have to notify you, and then vote in another 7 days. And so any kind of process like that's an initiative. But we have not received anything, and so at the moment is about.
Yeah. This goes back to the fact that the county has not talked to us in a year and a half. We have not had an email on letterhead telling us about the maintenance agreement. We have not had an email telling us they didn't renew the MOA. We had to sit at a public hearing to find out that we were no longer going to be having an automatic renewal for MOA. We've had, other than October 29th, when they called us to the table, we've had zero communication. And this is really unusual. This is out of the norm. We've had years and years and years. We've had excellent communication with all of our county representatives on negotiating. We can't afford to give you that much this year. Okay, we'll make it work. People that Cheryl's sitting on our board right now. She knows what's happening at the library. We try to, have real good relations in what's happening at the county level. What do you need from us? Tell us. You can't accuse us of not producing something when you don't tell us that you need it. So tell us what you want, and we'll negotiate that. We're happy to comply. We're here for the county, and we're, just tell us what you want. Don't go in silence and then accuse us of things. We will not be smeared. This is an excellent library. You will not smear this library. That's part of the problem. We don't know. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what they're up to. We don't know if it's an eviction notice or one day they come and the doors are locked. It's just not professional to have go all these years, 50 years, 60 years or more, and all of a sudden your partnership is broken. And we didn't do anything to break this partnership. This was inflicted on us. So
We can't be like seeing the buzzword spreads. Yeah, if anything, we will want to stop in the
transparency, all of the information that they have that they're using, you can find on our website. But how you interpret that and take it and twist it, but it's there. If you want it, it's there. If you can't find it, call us.
Absolutely.
Accountability should be the performance measurements of an institution. When you're in a public-private partnership, you give money and you expect service in return, and you want to see the performance. So whether it's somebody striping the lines on your parking lot, if you all noticed, we have new lights in our parking lot. You pay and you want a performance. That doesn't mean you go in and tell them what machines to buy or how to run their business or how much paint to buy, where to buy their paint. You don't micromanage that organization. You work with them and you evaluate the performance measurements on the other end. And our performance measurements are outstanding and award-winning. So I need to stop in my any other questions? Don't get me started. So that's not a quick question. So you said back to the no communication, the email I need to the board. So how long was it since the beginning of 24 when they started this behind the scenes research and debrief project?
Everybody's been talking about what they have been requesting of you, but you haven't actually been requesting as far as actually accept the my study that was requested in the end of last year.
Right. When we have to go in front of the board twice a year, an air industrial report, and then in December we do our budget for it that we've done every year for 18 years. And at that point, Vicki had asked for itemized, a little bit more clarity and itemized. So we have a budget now that it's color coded, what the county money goes for and what the state money goes for. And it's pretty clear if you can read a budget, it's pretty standard. It's accounting practices, there's line items for everything. So any other questions?
That was what they, I've seen that itemized budget. It's very easy to find.
Yeah. And then one of the supervisors asked for donations or things like that. So when they ask for things, we comply. Yeah. Yeah.
I will share next I've been a couple of small things like when they did the RFP, just like, hey, here's all, feedback, jealous about it.
It's from the administrative office. It came from the administrative office. Yeah.
It's get a question from Ms. Danison. From one of its board of supervisors about the cost per capita or something like that. He was just correcting himself.
Okay, any other questions for me at this point? All right, let's keep playing with Aaron. So one of the questions we've been getting asked a lot is, so why didn't you bid on the RFP? The way in which the county's RFP was written, it kind of excluded the possibility of us submitting a bid. It was written for a management company in mind, and we're not a management company. You guys been hearing that? Nonstop. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. It inferred that assets used by said company would be owned by Warren County, and as per the recommendation to go into negotiations with the company, LSNS, from the Warren County Library Board, I believe it was the April 29th special meeting, it is expected said company would function out of our current building. Several problems with that, of course, as we have stated time and time again. We have a 30-year lease and the county does not own our assets. We own our assets. We're not a vendor. We are a 501c3 nonprofit library that is the public library for Warren County. So to kind of go into that difference, we have a public-private partnership, not a vendor. So what comes with that? We already have established staff that some of us have been here for years. We know what we're doing, we love what we're doing, and we love this community. We're governed by an amazing 15-member board of trustees, all community volunteers, representatives from all districts, and a variety of skills. They're absolutely amazing. They all bring something new forward. We already have a comprehensive collection, technology, program services. You probably have heard me talk that up constantly on different platforms, including when we actually go to the county for 6-month review. We have, as a 501c3 nonprofit, we have great opportunities for additional grants, additional fundraising. We fundraise like crazy. Thank you all for attending our Case for Books event. It was fantastic. And we all had a blast with that. We also get additional funding through the state with federal aid, our other donations, as well as 3% off of our endowment. We have a robust volunteer program that offers additional savings because they
I can't stress enough how much we absolutely love our volunteers. I don't know what we would do without them. They really are a boon to this community and to the library, and being able to help us expand our services by helping us with things such as helping us do programs, helping us do putting books on the shelves, and it allows staff to be able to do additional programs that we wouldn't we wouldn't be able to do if we were focused on other tasks. And of course, our community partnerships that we've developed over decades. We have tons of partnerships, a lot of other local organizations that are fantastic that help offer free services to the community. So on the other side, you have a for-profit management company. So that currently is LS&S. They are the only library management company in the country. I'm not going to go and bash them. It's just everything is situational. They are currently based in Texas and Maryland. And again, they're for profit. So they have a profit margin that goes out of Warren County. That is theirs. They are for profit. They are managing only. So they come in with managing what the county currently owns. And the only example that we currently have is Manassas City Park. That is the only current running library in Virginia that is run by LS&S. That was a completely different scenario. Manassas City Park ended up breaking away from the county. They became their own municipality, and they did not have a branch already established for the county system. So they had to start from scratch. They had nothing. So LS&S came in to manage that, but the municipality had to pay for everything. They had to pay for the building. They had to pay for any collection. And again, we have a lease. We own our assets. So yeah, they don't come with anything. That's no guarantee for current employees. Can't guarantee volunteers. Donations to provide for extra services. Again, not a lot of people want to donate to a for-profit company. Again, as a for-profit, that less opportunity for grants. We've applied for state aid, so it's not like they can just come in and get state aid. Again, we have our endowment. They can't get that endowment money. They can go and try and do community partnerships and other things like that. You can't guarantee those organizations are going to want to work with them. We already have these established partnerships going back decades. And again, we have our collection. And the most important thing, especially for me, they're not foilable. They are a for-profit institution. So what you're going to get is what they give the county as far as reporting and other things, but they're not required to give certain things unless it's in their contract. So that for-profit margin, you don't get to know anything about that unless they give it. So, any specific questions?
I guess, but do we know anybody who works in with we have any contacts with them? Do we?
I have not been in contact with LS&S. I do not currently have anybody, any contacts or anything like that, but they do have contact information on their main website as well as the other libraries, I'm assuming. Yes.
I did look into that a little bit. I think Disney just started a larger like their evergreen is not bigger. There is a bigger corporation.
Yes, they're a subsidiary for a larger company as well. Yes.
Yes. And the end.
Yeah, I think there was a buyout at one point several years back. But again, LS&S, again, they come in and they manage things. So libraries in general, we always see possible issues with or questions that come about when the talk of privatization comes in. And what I mean by privatization is for-profit companies coming in to take over the work. Things like a quality of service that you're going to get for the money coming in because there's that for-profit margin, as well as how much you're actually going to get of a community focus. Again, they say things, but you don't, until you actually have it come in, you don't get to see the actual results of that. So some things may be centralized, such as because they have their own specialists like marketing and finance and things that are done at the home office. They're not necessarily done local. So you start to lose some of that local focus for your public library.
You probably have yet to launch your book, but the government.
I do not have that information offhand. I'm sorry. I can look it up.
They have school to
Yeah, 14,000 people per population, so that's significantly smaller compared to the 40,000 that we are here at one county.
Do we know if that bid will be public? Will we see it?
As far as FOIA is concerned, I believe that information becomes public once the contract has been awarded. So, and because you don't want the bidders to start fighting themselves and that type of thing. So it's to help it develop bidders. Yes, got it. But as far as I'm aware, under FOIA, it's after something's awarded, then it all becomes part of the available survey.
That's good. They should put it, how much is it costing the taxpayers? The struggle or at least the next, but all, it only cleaning.
Yeah, well, we'll go into specifics as far as the differences and what our budget is, what's been, part of the bid. I believe someone had put in a FOIA request back in the fall. It was like 16,000 currently illegal, but that's probably have changed. But I mean, it's that time. It's actually, yes, the melody.
Aaron, like with embellish, it might be useful for people to understand what the startup costs would be for a private management company to get up to running. The county would have to acquire a collection. What's the value of our collection? And what would be the projected startup costs in addition to the $10 to $15 million in the year contract agreement that it's proposed to the county?
That is true. So like I said, we do have our assets and we do have a lease with the building. We have a lease with this building. So if LSNS were to come in, they have to essentially start from scratch. The county would have to provide them with the building. And then, yes, they would have to basically build a collection from scratch. So I'm trying to remember what ours was.
I'm just trying what people want. I would say even between collection and document, and we can.
So yes, so at least about 4 to 5 million range as far as collection and furnishings as well. Possibly more than that.
Way more. Okay, I can't sit down. So, how is it? Well, the books are, the books alone, 140,000 books at maybe 30 each. You're looking at millions there. We just looked at 1/5 of the technology budget at 576,000, right? You've got all kinds of licenses, security, cameras, the building itself, the furniture that you sit on, the computer banks, the children's toys. You're talking millions, and that's not even touching the building. So just the internal assets are huge. Does that help? Okay. So we're looking at millions if they try to do this. Share one. It's good. I'm gonna ask you, in the stat here, they don't speak all about that it's cost anything that it says it like $46 million that 60 healings city halls on $500,000 for furniture itself.
It's not cheap, especially this economy.
It's sitting for. It is. And if they're for profit, do they need to report, line item by line item? So the financial oversight.
I'm assuming it's by the contract, but they're taking it through the
Yeah. So they just hand over the money then. Hello. And don't ask questions. I tend to there's books in the collection area that are basically irreplaceable becomes historical. Because the fact that this library reflects this particular place, this company appears to be for like the library vendors. That is to be if you try and bring it industry down on the basis that niche efforts here that are the jigsaw one to read.
We do have a Virginia history room, which does have books that are specific to our locality. They are hard to get because they're no longer in publication. So it would depend on how LSNS does their collection development and what they have access to as a vendor, because I don't know what their contracts are and who they actually get their books from. But yeah, it depends. And we pride ourselves in being a library for our community. So we take into account what our community is asking for as far as collections. If there's specific areas where we're lacking in, we try and get updated information on that. But also, too, there are some other, every locality is different. So, like, for instance, even, you know, we're going to have books that Manassas City Park has. We're going to have some that they have that we don't have, just because that's what that location is looking for. And it's not, no one wants to check it out here. It's vice versa. So we pride ourselves in being a library, again, for our community.
There are a lot of books out there that I know look out, and that's even some of the libraries that are following difficulty with them. And one of the statements looking at libraries things it's the problem. It means getting financial information from the diesel information. This says on there that if it is proprietary information and they disclose that as proprietary information, they do not know the information ever. That is in the RFP that they replied to. So they're not disclosing where funds are going, because they have to sort of shipping receipts and that kind of stuff. But in terms of the profit data balance is that. Even if some of the conversation was very around such relevant communication, since getting, grading connections, this neat guidance, property, agribusiness, things like the impression, brittle root. Is there any idea of what the collection looks like? How that should be been at stay and what is coordinating what it's about here?
I believe it would be depending on the contract if they would to be able to make, I can't speak for them specifically, but it is a concern that comes up a lot with privatization of libraries.
I do know that they kits in large volume, and that's one of their cost savings. So they don't cater to the public. Some of the libraries, there's one out in California that they have a large student population, and most of the books that they order do not cater to their community. So they are having difficulty getting specific notes for their community. So they do these large purchases. They just so much cheaper. So they have a lot of, it's not particular to the library itself. They do this fast purchase then that much this government's going to reach out with.
Excellent. Are you all about these? By the way, it's all with a different way to ask the question. Now, it's
We can answer your question for that, sure.
well, I'm wondering if you have a lease,
Yes. Oh, yeah. We have a 30-year lease for this building. Yes.
like you have to bring the lease.
It's
Do we know
to break the lease.
criteria would be to break the lease?
Your package up. Or now.
Are you policy?
Yeah, or not function as a library. But we have fully intend to function as a public library.
Did I go? Analyst did think.
Yeah.
So how did visiting a standoff when the sheriffs are outside?
These batteries out. Well,
Like whoever they are say, we got this is our building. All of that say this is our building. What happened then?
If we go to court.
all the moms out. To be the same day. I get their holidays, some but it's out. What do you better?
You got someone back here as well. Yes.
So you're saying, so I think obviously, especially Alberta, just for it's clear that the county is going to go after the assets. About you're saying it's become in buildings locked that the only recourse is the oil, like there's nothing we can do to. And do you think there's any way they could easily lock the building? I do. You guys out lease.
I mean, that goes into commercial law. So, I mean, they
No, it's
yeah, it's been
I could do.
I can't say what they're going to do. That's the thing.
No, I do. This actually, it's
Oh, I know. One more and then we'll.
I'm a first quality the boiler. The said Lori's great piece. He heard sounding nervous if he did not being you story with what
it might be what they're looking at. Yeah, it's a possibility. It's but again, we did respond. We did respond timely and updated by we look for it. It's all why we get to talk about numbers. to it.
She got one more question, John.
Great.
Yeah, and there's another question for John about
She's not fair. Had a copy.
yeah.
I'm really dark. I did it for all, and it's going to get some stuff in it was like great. I'm not there for Slander. Joe, I think I'm like a gallery. Like the procedure by which we got your board supervisor violated so rules in the Virginia state kind of stick did it there. It's big old fight. Yes, how I did really thought they're Catholics, the Catholic Buckley Sim. Religion, I was we're not talking right up even the English, put it out there. They're all in kinds of old opinions, but it's just they're fixed. Right? They excited, other got to church. We made wrong. That's not our character. No, I'm going to say
And
that.
out there is the Lord. And
You know, they're not the police of action.
not airlines.
Yeah.
There is a real inside. Now they can award any events that you want, and you should know what there's an award or how it's right there. They will see. They have
Okay, let's talk about numbers. So up here, what you see is our 2025 fiscal year state aid budget. This is what we have to fill out every year. Erin applies for state aid in the spring, and she gets another piece of paper in, and then we have to do something else and something else. And finally, this comes and it says, this is your award amount, which is the total at the bottom. And that you have to fill in, and there are criteria to what percentage or so that kind of thing of the state aid grant you can use this for. So you can see we put this year $121,784 into the collection. That's just state aid. Then we get donations, and we also, if we have something extra, we'll run over that, etc. We're going to come back to this in the numbers. So I have to put something together. That could be really scary, man. How do I get out of this? There we go, right? Narrow eyes on. Right? Okay. So this is FY 24-85. What is this?
So that's the
I'm looking at numbers all afternoon. So that's the year to date, and then the projected, and then our FY 25-26 request. This is a snapshot of a page of the Warren County budget requests document they send out in November, December, and we submit in December. And so you can see what we projected. We said we were going to need $1,193,261.85, and it went up that way because they had pulled all the maintenance and all kinds of stuff on us, so it was going to be more money. If you go up to fundraising, we had included that we backed out what we said we would fundraise. We wanted them to see what it really costs to run the library. So we said, well, we'll trunk 31,000 in. And then we said, other funding of 30,000, and that's we draw it from our endowment. So anyway, this is what we filled out, and we submitted a memorandum of agreement with it, with that total of $1,193,000. So now let's talk about the memorandum of agreement submissions and the legal timeline. So I'm going to go real quick. 12/2, we submit that partner agency document that I had up a minute ago. 12/10, the supervisors adopted the ordinance creating the new Warren County Library Board. We all remember that long night. 124, Samuel's Library filed a petition to Warren County Circuit Court against the Warren County Board of Supervisors, seeking a temporary injunction as a result of the creation of the new ordinance and the Warren County Library Board. Some things were not done correctly. On 128, we met a circuit court for an emergency hearing, and the judge ruled harm to the library was not imminent and postponed the hearing to May 2nd, 2025. On 2-5, the attorney for the library filed a non-suit on the original petition. Then they refiled and updated some information on the same day. On 3-4, the Warren County Board of Supervisors vote not to renew the MOA with the library. The vote's all we ever heard. We've never seen anything. On 3-13, the Warren County Board of Supervisors received an unsolicited bid for library services from Library Systems and Services. And it just happened to be addressed to Mr. Eric Belk. Curiouser and curiouser. On 3/31, Samuel's Library submitted a new MOA, and we lowered the request for county funding to $1,024,000, which is where we are now, and which is the amount of the unsolicited bid. On 4/4, Warren County released an RFP for library services. After much discussion on 4/9, and this had been going on for a couple of weeks with our attorney and everything, it was determined it would be in the overall best interest of the library to withdraw the lawsuit that we had for the May 2nd hearing. At that point, when we filed originally, we were trying to slow down that freight train. I mean, they were going at breakneck speed, and see if we could inject some common sense into all of this. So it just seemed like we were throwing money away to continue the lawsuit. And our board said, yeah, let's stop it. So there went then, when we announced it, it took almost a month to come to agreement with the other attorney. And when we announced it, then all of a sudden there's all these Facebook trolls saying, that we did it because they did something the night before. Give me a break. It was 7 weeks before. So anyway, can they tell I'm annoyed? So we withdrew, and finally on 4/29, the Warren County Board of Supervisors issued the RFP for the library services. And on 4/29, they approved the Warren County. Now I have a date wrong there. On 4/29, they reviewed. What am I missing there, guys? I got a date wrong. I'm sorry. But the Warren County Library Board asked for permission to enter into contract negotiations with LS&S on 4/29. That I know is correct. And the next day, and they were given approval, of course. And the next day, we received notification from our attorney that the petition had been removed from the docket, so that lawsuit was over. And we believed in the end that that would save us a considerable amount of money in the end that we would put toward what we assume will be future much larger legal actions. So then we get to a comparison between Samuel's Library and LS&S, dollars versus cents for FY26. Try to keep it simple. We asked for $1,024,000. LS&S asked for $1,024,000. I'm using current fiscal year dollars for state aid because I don't know what it is yet for 26. So we put 121,783.75 into collection development. They're saying they'll put 125. Our number will go up by the year end because we put more in as over time.
The remainder of the state aid funds amount to 126,781.25. They're saying they'll give $151,000 toward a bookmobile or whatever else is needed. So the 126,781 is whatever else is needed. And then, in order to reach what we believe we need to reach, we're willing to put in $245,000 of fundraising. Now, you want to tell me who's going to give you the better product? It's crystal clear.
Are you saying that we thought through all of this and the county is gonna save $0? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. There's not only are they going to save $0, it's for the cost checks they're talking. And we're going to get it. I'm sorry, but look at the lower levels.
Oh, absolutely.
Send out those. So, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's Friday, easy and clear to see that this makes no sense. This makes no sense.
So see, I didn't get the 150, we're basically $150 for a bookmobile.
No, that's us, and that's the same. They're going to throw that in the pot, and I'm just saying, okay, they can throw their 150 in the top or whatever it is, and you're going to put it another 20 in to do.
Maintenance issues going forward, insurance.
And they're saying they're going to flat fund for 5 years or something. I say,
I believe,
that is not.
just to help with other examinations that are not shown on that slide.
Yeah.
In the county's RFP, County Health said was they would take care of building maintenance for the contractor.
Yes.
We're paid for building maintenance. That's another $50,000. So
Our number has to be higher to be able to maintain the building.
also, those numbers are not including the value of the nearly 10,000 hours a year of one site.
Now he's,
I think.
yeah,
Like you, about the rings.
Mellon Grant.
and here it is goes to Titan. Garden is just goes, we don't have company.
Yeah, you're not going to get $1,299,000 worth of service because they're going to take your profit off the top of that.
They can't pay utilities.
I don't know what their contract is going to say.
See that?
We pay utilities.
If I'm also not volunteers.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
Not college. They
Volunteers that won't work for him, so that's for next hands.
and then it became a racing to one.
Yes,
About funds to Sanders Library donations. That will I come to the endowment or what kind of funds to pay me not that we're going to use.
we have this donor emergency fund that's been newly created and it's growing every day.
It's going to spend itself now. So
Hold on. It's not some applause because you all are part of it, We have the endowment fund. We may have to touch that in the year ahead. We hope we won't, but we may have to. But we are also looking at doing the national marketing campaign and about this struggle. And when we've gone national before, donations do tend to pour in. So, who knows? And we're also looking at anyone who's willing to give, has deep pockets, with nothing else to do with their money. That we would entertain any and all. I had somebody today who said, what do I need to do to set up my QFDs or hire QFC for my RFD and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the heck? This is too early for this. Then I figured out they want to give their minimum retirement distribution to us every year. So, that kind of thing is amazing. Yeah.
For the collection on the LSNF side, for the collection of all these mobile or other mates, is that only for FY 2026 or is that for every year? That's 1 year. That's to my knowledge. That's all it tells you. Push that out on the deputy.
Yeah, so we have to see what that contract says about intruders. Yes,
But is this assuming that they're just going to walk in?
yes.
They would use
This does not take into account the lease or the assets.
right, because so then that's really misleading. And their side would be much less liar, because they have to
Correct.
wire.
But I'm looking at, the argument was ages ago and has continued to be repeated. Doing this, we're going to save this community hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. Give me a break. Does that look like they saved any money? So we're just looking at it from an operational money standpoint for this person, but you're absolutely right. Yes, Kelly?
Okay, so let's say he battled the whole vote and they still want to get Helen and Hex the one thing that fellows. So you have been here in operating statement in Bevel as started some least.
I'm going to say that they are going to be, they're a professional business run by a major corporation. Yes, I would say they're going to be looking for some specifics in their contract. Yeah, sure. Who knows?
This may not be this, but once they enter into a contract, the public will have to have hearing on that, right? There's a certain number of days. They can't just enter into a covenant without publishing. So can I feel it isn't enough, and I feel the fear.
It doesn't shut us out.
Cheryl, did you know how that works?
And to feed it's one of these, I think
I was kind of waiting for that answer.
I will so yes, in our one of the things I want to say that I think is going to be an outgrowth of this movement, and this is my question. I think nationally, I don't need to, to be blowing it out or whatever. But we are saying to other communities nationwide who are being assaulted, if we have been assaulted, that we're not going to put up with it. And you guys can back stand, and we're going to show you how a community can fight back and can say it's not going to happen here. And so that's going to be, I think, another outgrowth of what all of us can do together and say, shut it. I'm through.
Yeah, I will say, I look forward to the day when we have a board of supervisors once again that we can work with and have a really good working relationship with. This has only been an issue in the last couple of years. Right. So, it's an anomaly, and hopefully it will go away. All right. So now,
The thing
yeah,
those things.
He takes off.
Like what it's the fact that the R&D is I mean, for city. So, the fact was part of the internet which conducted was making. This can be so, so a lot. And it was sort of being so just going to invest in places. Just have to say, you need this a little. If this is not anything about your problems, so okay. So you need a bigger dog on the site. Right now, what is it, Chamber of Commerce, and got this law got a special advice. They need someone to defend them. The board of supervisors, she's not enough supposed to tell the different institutions. And starting maybe wonder what's happening to schools with our kids and what that here. And this school's beautiful. It's beautifully tuned, it's very stuff. I don't like dominance or I don't keep I need such rage. I was trying to like be here and I'll say you got the 1 5 9 no watching on the pros. That's that bro. But you made the wrong thoughts. And it is a wonderful experience. This is an aberration. And hopefully we can get past it and get back to what we say standing in numbers. And if you talk about Project 2025, like that period mistake is in night to listen about what is happening at sea. And the work is that looks in me. Do not pay attention to that because they're trying to run out of time. Our prisons, our hospitals, our schools, I want elections. Okay? Because that's the one of what we're thinking. So that again, whether or not if I was especially if I was our government. But the thing of it is that it's all about people and how you make them feel and support them and encourage you. And so is this supporting us right now? Like, are you getting to do your best for this because you're not spent all this time on ridiculous? Yes? No. So somebody help. Please not your war. Get on it, find a top dog. It's like, okay, the almighty here, I have the people already. They need to come. Catholic station, that's instead of like he said. But if you're not being excited, I don't see why. It is it's not going to be like all these channels. It's going to be a coffee shop conversation where they're getting
there. So the Chamber of Commerce, they can't get into politics. That's like no. They need to stay out of that.
So I'm thinking it's the coffee shop conversation, something like being a follow that with the gotcha. So it's starting to create a feeling in the community that is that.
Everybody's well aware of the chamber. I'm celebrating.
That's the
The businesses, they can't really jump into this because if they jump into it, they're cutting off half of their business because so they're twined with certain people. So if they start stepping up, hitting settlement was made later financially, and there are people involved in this with such high power connections that if you start calling them out, it brings in even more problems because they have outside external connections with very deep pockets.
Well, what is the last tweeting all around? And we're getting embarrassed with the DLA. The LECs take a conversation about where this
With the
yeah. And I think there's enough. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's just so many students about having to be so official. But it's starched. But this, what I order is what I feel like no matter where I go, where she's scoring, so what? But they're talking about him.
Yeah.
It was so. Okay, I'm going to go over fundraising and then some of our plans. But I do want to share one thing. I know I'm going to shake it. I am a practicing Catholic. And I chose my day to St. John's. And actually, I see, there's a gentleman there that's on the people I do see people that are making these decisions at St. John's. I will tell you, it's heartbreaking for me because I don't want to get emotional, but I've been Catholic all my life and I almost thought about leaving the church. I went home and I went back to, I'm from Ohio, and I went home and I saw we had mass, and it was a refreshing mass. And it's just renewed my spirit that, yes, I'm Catholic, I'm going to keep my beliefs, and that it's mad and people that run this church, and you have to remember that not everybody that goes to St. John's feels the way that a certain contingency. So keep that in mind. I talked about it not. Again, I have vaccine. I see Jameson at 70. But not 70 still. I hear in the sermons, the homilies are not bringing down the library. The homilies are not to tear this. Homilies are the opposite. I heard a homily that says, you reap what you sow. And I'm like, I don't know what they should reap them all, but it's going to be tough. I go, so, and I heard homilies, to be, it's spirit, use your, be open. Listen, I don't know what's happening to people in church. I agree. And it's not everybody. So I do want to keep that. I want everybody to keep that in mind. It's not the entire Catholic Church. I'm not part of this email group. That's a special group or whatever. I'm not part of it. But I do want people to know that I am a practicing Catholic. So it's not the entire St. John's Church. So anyway, okay. So the fundraising. We've had a lot of great fundraising lately. Thanksgiving was phenomenal, $21,437. That we had a silver March tea that, a silver tea in March that brought in 56,000. And then our fantastic taste of books brought in 33,000. And I don't know who all excited is the taste of books, but when I found out about the taste of books, it was not a hate fest about what was going on. It was a party and a celebration of the library.
Yeah.
I hope everybody felt that when we were here. It was not it wasn't a bashing party. It was a celebration of what we had there. So I want to, so I wanted to let everybody know I had a great time.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, but and it was awesome. It was. I like it with the Randolph Navy interactive, the rooming, the police led. Being that Sydney was trying to sell them like some kind of candy cigarettes. So I know we. Oh, frick, so what? I'm like, oh, the. They know what that should that's with. I hate those. So where does all this go? So there's all been a lot of questions about mixing of funds and how our funds are distributed. Like, I wanted to put a slide together. Try to help understand where our funds go. These are our main accounts. The operating account. This is where our county and state funding goes. This is where the FOSO donation goes. And this is where the interest from our endowment account, the larger accounts. So this is the operating account. So when you see our financials on a monthly when we present them, this account that you're seeing, that blue and I think it's color-coded blue and tan, that's what's happening in the operating account. That's the money coming in and the expenses. So those are the things that go into that funnel. They don't go anyplace else. The next one is our reserve account. We have a reserve account that includes different kinds of donations. Like, are they restricted donations? I don't usually unrestricted. So, and again, we've always had a reserve account. Not huge, but we have a reserve account. Now, the most exciting news is that we do have this donor emergency fund. So we've had great donations. This is the one that's the new one for over $500,000. So it's invested in tiered CDs, so it's very low risk. We have easy access. We can get this in 24 hours. We have a 4% expected earnings on it, and it's to carry us through resolution until resolution can be made. I'm holding out hope that we can get to a resolution. In my mind, in my optimistic view, they haven't said they're going to not fund us completely. So we have some hope. I don't know. They might be a bit too optimistic. So anyway, so that's the three main funds. Any question on that? Okay. Then we have our endowment account. Now I think this was a point of contention a little year and a half ago, but it was started with the proceeds of Samuel's Public Inc. And they're supposed to be building under that. Sorry. But that's what it was started with. But it wasn't $1 million at that time. It was like a couple $100,000 or 100. So it was we've invested well. We work with Truist Bank. We get audited. So it has grown. So this one is our big account. The leader's almost $1 million. Of course, with the latest market trends, it's been going up and down. But this is the account that we can draw interest from. That number that Eileen was showing me earlier. It's the interest from this account. I think we 3%. Basically, we pull that in every year to subsidize our expenses. And the principle of this account, that $1 million, is the purpose of an endowment is to keep it's a long-term survivability of the library. So we do have that. As Eileen said, we don't want to dip into it. We don't want to go there, but if we have to, we may have to do that depending on where we go. We also have a C. Huber endowment account. It's a lot smaller. This was started by a donation by C. Huber. When he passed, he wanted to donate some money to the library, so we have an endowment account from there. And again, this is another interest is used to subsidize. And then we have the Mellon Grant Fund. Now, the Mellon Grant, because I remember in 2024, we got a $500,000 Mellon Grant. It was used to create the maker space, the studio, and continue our phenomenal record preservation we have here. We have an invested in CD and savings account, and all interest has to stay within that fund. We have to report that fund back to the Mellon, and we cannot use any of that money for anything else but the intended purpose of that grant. I think everybody understands that. Fine. Any questions on these? Yes.
What branch next gets in? If we get that way,
No. These are considered our assets. They can't finish any of our financial in our assets. Yeah. And, okay, and then the next one we have is a community foundation account. So we said, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
just real quick question, maybe naive about this. Is Braindex have meetings like this, the reaching that just?
Or, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
totally video. Why would you tell stuff out about this? I know it's interesting to all of us. We're having an interest. I'm not going to be under serious.
So why are we spelling this out?
You're taking.
Yeah, because we're nonprofit.
I understand.
Yeah,
But if I were your opponent in East Evil, this could be an open minded information.
let's start by acknowledge. I would appreciate it. Oh, yeah, it's definitely transparent. And I'll give you some and some context.
Not invited into their business.
No, but we're nonprofit and we're here for the community. I can tell you before all this started, we came, the board would get together and we were talking about what do we need next? And it was like, okay, what are we gonna do? We want to build an amphitheater. And then we got to all this. I don't know how my fellow board members vote. I don't care. Because when we all get together for a board of trustees meeting, it's about what we can do, to raise funds, to make sure we're viable for the long term, to whatever the community wants. So I can't think how many people vote. We don't care. And we get together, we talk the library and what we can do here. And I think there's been some question or there's like, okay, we just don't want there to be any concern or question that we're hiding anything.
And this information's always been available. You could have always found it on the website or contacts.
And petrol meeting, yes, Steve, all permanent stuff.
Yeah,
Would be great.
yeah. I think there's been some question about we mix them together and like, where's all this going? And so we wanted to see here's where our funds are. Okay.
I think a greater question to this gentleman Avery here than that you're under assault and you're still trying to act like a big partner. That's in front.
Steal for the fire, right?
It's each of those up, it's sort of the point.
Yeah, you're right. That is a good point. Yeah.
That's not even fair.
Now, I will tell you, and I will,
You usually want to call it ordinance.
I will say, we did, about a couple of years ago, we did present the boards, we went and bring the board of supervisors with our savings. Do you remember that meeting?
That's all it comes.
Yeah, it's all good.
Let's already.
And the question that we got was, well, why would we give you money when you have all this? And so that's when we really okay, let's really think about this and what we, and so that's when we're like, okay, we need this for our long, hence where we are today. We need this to survive for now. And we're hoping to get more. Sorry.
Well, that's a very good point. But what's happening is as shit up scaffolding, pay taxes. Even though the sheriff tax people, the worst sheriff gets looking at
Yes.
and I pay taxes. I think if anything was done without transparency and absolute respect to the scholar's things, I didn't have any good job. It's what actually learning how to have such
Say,
I work with now see it's through the Senate doing up its counter. The majority of us will see it. You could see the district I fall into state when they decided that to fund the library. They didn't even look at us in Europe. So I'm just saying you're absolutely right. But at the moment, we have to stay high because almost what we do is it's not entirely. So one that way. Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
And it's never a natural, I already see making a natural movement. Or it's like Charity Foundation has made hand in all the, so all those doctors, kids, and school boards, and of course, everything, all the, on on basis. And, is there any possibility it is a lawyer or who you borders? You're legal, then it's going on.
Is there any sort of, laws that provides for RICO establishment?
Zero organizations out there that provide pro bono legal for situations like this, and a lot of national lawsuits for that. I mean, like there's a lot of libraries that are going through search engines similar to what we did that are in the States at the moment. It's every state's different. They're all linked to different things. You're seeing stuff on the internet. It starts like Uni Pass. And again, there's lawsuits. Publishers are getting involved in some of the lawsuits. So we're not isolated.
No, I don't think it's worse. It feels like a natural assault. It's censorship on first being rights, libraries or in school. And there must be one end of the tech and assault somebody got still right. It's a primary situation. Is there something with equal power thing up from the First Native people?
I was aware, but I always recommend getting it online just because usually they'll have articles, as far as any lawsuits that are going on actually at that level. But as far as I am aware, not quite what you're describing at the moment. You're aware of.
There are some nonprofit law. There's some nonprofit law firms that focus on First Amendment rights, and
Are we about to treat those folks?
we are, but you have to be at a certain crisis level. And right now we're doing the legality 2 days from like my dad, so I easy our album. They're out in the weeks and they're watching, that I don't know what it takes to what line it is you cross to get from it is like there are meetups. We talked to a couple of different nonprofit legal firms that do that sort of thing. Let's move on. So Adele has a question. The milling rate, yes. But if the students attach to that in baby, they give it a rare single year. Yes, yes. Like a fully worse. That's all. So yeah, it's a community station. Initial. Unfortunately, they know.
Okay, and then the final is the community foundation accounts that we've had in years. These are small accounts, but we have an endowment or in the savings. And again, we receive numerous gifts and grants from others. We participate in the community foundation, and it's unrestricted. And again, we get full interest from this account. So it's small, but we expect it. Okay, yeah, we get grants because we belong to this. We always have this. So, any other questions? I would think you can listen. It's going to go over audit. Oh, we have a clean audit right now. If I have an audit right. Yeah, they want to I did not do any slides. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll try to not bore everyone to that. Audit, it's not OSHA. Auditing is not everyone's favorite topic. I might be alone there. But we thought it would be good to share some information about it since it isn't everyone's favorite topic. In the past year, certain members of the board of supervisors have focused heavily on transparency and oversight of St. Mills Library. Assuming that is their real concern, we thought it would be good to explain more about the financial oversight the library has each year from its independent auditors. The library has had a long history with Yount, Hyde, and Barber. We call it YHB. That's the others really hard to say. It's a reputable regional CPA firm that specializes in nonprofit entities. When performing an audit, a CPA firm will issue an opinion at the conclusion of their work. If there are no material misstatements in the audit, the firm will issue what's called a clean opinion. That's what we have. We've had clean opinions every year since inception, probably, since we've been required to have an audit or since we've chosen to have an audit. Our history of having those clean audit opinions reflects the library's commitment to financial accuracy. Our willingness to post all of our financial data on our website reflects our commitment to transparency. And as a nonprofit, today we just wanted to tell you a little bit more about the audit process so you understand that commitment a little bit more. So the external auditors, they come in
annually, and then I do some interim field work mid-year, just before year end. But they will submit long lists of requests to the staff here, and we will hand over volumes of data. And from that point, that's the starting point. They will then choose samples. They will provide additional requests and request all the supporting documentation, much like a FOIA type thing, but all in the current year or all with regards to any contracts that have been entered into, any new agreements, any donor agreements that have been signed, anything like that. All of that is subject to testing by auditors. There's a number of different audit procedures that they apply. One thing that they do is we prepare audit confirmations. And we have to type it up. We have to allow them to request these confirmations. But they will confirm every bank balance. They will confirm any debt balance. They will send confirm any specific agreements or any terms. If we have any accounts receivable, they would confirm those. They might select to confirm some accounts payable to check those procedures. But that takes a lot of time for our staff to do. And then the auditors scan those out so that they're independent and they find out if our records agree with what our vendors say. You can think back to when we had debt agreements back related to providing the furniture for the area and with the sale of the house. All of that was probably confirmed back there. And someone signed off on it from the county, and it was all determined to be acceptable documentation. So that's an instance of some of the audit procedures that they do. So there's sampling, there's confirmations, there's analytic procedures. All of these types of procedures, they'll come back and ask more questions and more questions so that you're hated eventually as an auditor. I've been there. But it's all to make sure that they have proper evidence to say that we have clean financial records. And that's the most important thing. And so we do whatever they ask, and we make sure that they have all of the information that they need to opine on our financial records. One thing that they do, like I had mentioned earlier, they will inspect records and documents. They will inspect all of those agreements. They will inspect all of the purchase documentation for assets like furniture, fixtures, construction, backyard renovations that we just said. They'll make sure that they're properly valued on our financial statements, that we have the rights to those assets before they're listed on our financial statements, that our liabilities for such things are complete. It was accorded the whole liability on our financials. So a lot of that comes about during the audit procedures that they do. They also will inspect assets. They'll walk around the facility. They'll make sure that we have major purchases. They'll probably walk through the studio 330. I'm sure they're going to look at a lot of those major assets and make sure that those were purchased with with the grant money and properly in tune with the grant agreements. So, and then there's other things like recalculation and reperformance, where they'll sit beside whoever's doing payroll, sit beside whoever is reporting cash receipts, and make sure that the procedures that we say are being done are actually being done, and making sure that our internal controls are solid. So all of this goes into an audit, and it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time, but we know as a board and the staff know how important it is for us to feel good about those numbers and to know that they are recorded properly. Both Samuels and Warren County have undergone audits for many years, back many years, even back when Bill Avenue was sold and the Kaiser Road facility was built. I have confidence that the auditors for both entities examined and tested the agreements and transactions regarding those facilities and found sufficient audit evidence to say that the assets were properly recorded or not recorded on each other's financial statements. So our assets are our assets. Our assets are not on the books of the county. Otherwise, they wouldn't be asking us for documentation about it. They don't have any of that documentation because they're not their assets. So I have faith that the auditors did their work. I know that the county's last year financial statements are still not complete. I'm not sure what that's related to. They're much more complex. So, but I have confidence that our assets are properly in our name. We have the rights to those.
Expert and question. Some big stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Odd. It's one thing. Fake enough. If you and just say this, I guarantee you, that's just our more and other right. If we get to anyone, you got taxing or wanting to that's this calculation. All AI source to chat. That it's just not very close to me. He's like, not that there is that didn't right there. No,
Yep.
it is still out going to get there inside. Yeah, it brings stuff. It's not going to keep us house. Okay, that much good. Yes, we're still in the box. And but thank you.
Yeah, I have a two-part question. You said independent auditor several times.
Yes.
How is the auditor chosen? And then my second question is there ever intention timeline with the auditor results?
I'm going to lean on Eileen a little bit. I don't know how often we go out to bid.
I like to be really bad. You're not with your cheek here.
It takes so much time with the libraries
down
to bring and nonprofits looking for this against there's human event on. And so raise things out. They're very they know how the library plots work, how to use that to raise up people to the side. Saves us money to warm.
It's not needed.
they know what's to be funny later and kind of like, well, something you pull an audit back from 15 years ago. I can.
Yeah, the financial statements, so that if the detailed transactions that supported that audit would be harder to accumulate and wouldn't be subject to the record retention guidelines that audit firms recommend. But the reports, yes.
Yeah, it's 18 years enough.
No, we're audited every year. And it gives the board a piece of wallet, so there's some movings on. But it's a requirement you see is taking it and that, but mama, look, you have to submit your audit. That's why they don't even consider it safely. Feel that. Thoughts you do.
And just going back to your independence question, I do say that they're external, they're independent. The guidelines for CPA firms require them to be independent, and they will police themselves for their own benefit of their own longevity of the firm. So they would not jeopardize their licenses by operating if they didn't feel that they were independent in relationship or because they had worked with us for so long. And I've had other entities that we have separated with CPAs because it just felt like we were a little too close, and we did go out for bid. And it was mutual on both sides. So CPA firms do police that themselves, but also the AI CPA does police it as well, and they would be subject to sanctions and they do.
And scat like
We have to, in this world, standing back, spending daylight. So, it already costs spread the progress in the vein of lost and being like, you good stuff. What would me to it is it? And then it's slogan on certain accounts, the things are automatically charged. I get the same that I have to pull up the detail, reconcile it,
I don't care if it's a $4 receipt, you bet on it. Just leave that's top of the big gallery credits. She's like 6. And a very much kids, it's in the other. So we're pretty big.
Yeah, no, it's
Absolutely cheap.
it's honest. And yeah, the other thing about auditors is that usually there's a partner in charge to oversee the process. And then two people change from year to year, often because they're bringing in younger, not newbies, but they're so you're not seeing the same people necessarily on a day-to-day basis that are doing the actual audit work. So you'll have a partner that oversees the whole process. So that helps to add to their independence. Smart. And every CPA firm also has to go through something called a peer review. And that means another audit firm will come in and sample their audits and review it to make sure that they have done the appropriate amount of work to support their opinions and that they are independent. So there's other procedures like that to keep the procedures honest.
Going right down the board to the point of you guys are going to see independent outside source and you got full those audit reports. That's generally about that at every point in time.
The last thing is the video that needs like a sign about audited agencies. Steady move on. Okay, we're gonna hold that in a new box, the next thing. I don't want to run out of time. But we will get your question. Okay, Sydney? Hello, friends. How are we all doing? I will try to move along quickly. All right, I am Sydney. I am the president-elect of the Friends of Samuel's Library, or FOSSIL. FOSSIL was established in 1994. We actually started out as an advocacy group because we had a leaky roof and we had potential funding issues with the county. So FOSSIL encouraged the members of Warren County to talk to their representatives and express how much the library meant to them. And eventually things worked out. FOSSIL then started to raise money through memberships. They were meager at first, but helped fund the little extras that the library needed. Once the Kreiser building, which we are all sitting in right now, opened, FOSSIL's purpose became filling all the new space with programming and activities. In response to that, memberships grew and we were able to provide more asks from the library. In 2017, FOSSIL started the management of the donation-based volunteer-run bookstore called Epilogue, which you can see right out there. It's the cute little hut. Epilogue became an even bigger fundraiser and provided the ability to offer more substantial support to Samuel's Public Library. But in 2023, we shifted again. And now more than ever, FOSSIL is a multi-pronged entity. We have a record number of memberships with aspirations of hitting 250 this year, which all of you can help with. If you're not a FOSSIL member, go out there and join us. And if you would hit 300, that'd be great. We are breaking sales records with our annual book sale and Epilogue itself. We've responded to members' requests by adopting online and automatic renewal on our memberships. We have joined social media and still advocate for the library, highlighting the long list of benefits it provides to Warren County. We still sponsor programming. And we are still set up to assist with volunteer hours whenever they are needed, like, for example, this event. I could go through a long list of items that we helped purchase and give to the library, from an awning above the staff door so our librarians don't get wet when they come in, to a self-checkout machine, and even a county-wide postcard during the first go-round of this. But the point is that we've been here for 30 years as a love letter and a best friend to the library.
Through community support, we've given more than $185,000. We promise at least $20,000 of additional aid every year to Samuels. We are small, but we are adaptive. Honestly, before all this, not many people knew the difference between Fossil and Samuels. Actually, that's still a problem. We have our own independent 501c, we have our own board, and a lovely logo. But we consider it a compliment to be confused with such an amazing staff and like to think that it shows our dedication and professionalism. But we stand beside Samuels Public Library as a show of extra community support. We are just one of the ways that the community shows that they believe the library deserves additional funding and offer their volunteer hours to help fulfill its mission. We are the friends of Samuels Library, and that is an honor that we do not take lightly. Although we really do try to be the lighthearted, silly BFF that everyone needs. Which is why you may have seen outside that we have a cute little table. And now I'm going to ask one of them to stand up. Fossil and Samuels right now is doing a competition to see which shirt you guys like better. I am partial to friends because we are libraries and friends with benefits. And if you get the library shirt, I think you should make them sing it to you. Safety turkey. But you guys are able to help weigh in on this at the table outside. Or you can visit the Epilogue bookstore and get them, but they're going to be fun and they're going to be a hot item. There's only 200, so get them before they're gone. But before my closing, I do want to say one little thing. Friends is here for Samuels. We were specifically set up for Samuels. We, through you guys, end up giving $20,000 a year. And we will not do that for another company. We are the friends of Samuels. So anyone see that any of us are going to go in and do this for a for-profit company? No, absolutely not. We give our hearts, our souls to this because we love this place. But in closing, without Samuels and without you, the community, we are nothing. But all of us together are truly a powerhouse. So thank you for supporting Samuels and for being our friend.
No.
Does anybody else think it's unfair that I after Sydney? I'm here to do a testimonial, but I'm looking at all the faces out here, and I think all of you know volunteerism is essential. I've been a volunteer at Samuels Library since 2009. On the board for 6 years, at 2009 for 6 years after that. And I then decided I couldn't stay home, so I went on the board of Fossil after I was told I couldn't stay on the board for the library because my term had run out. So I was on Fossil's board for 6 years and enjoyed it very much. And then at the end of 6 years Fossil time, I had to come out because we are not allowed to stay on longer than 6 years. So I know what the heck. Go back on the library board. Yeah, that's where you'll find me today. Librarians again. Now, it may happen that at the bylaws have been changed, so I can stay on the library board for a total of 9 years. So quite about probably four more years left on the library board. I just may have to go on the Fossil board. Library boys. No. So just consider
volunteer. Not only am I on the board, but I volunteer on the library floor every Monday, pulling holes and putting books away. I volunteer every Thursday in Fossil. And Fossil's the bookstore, Epilogue. I'm like a bad penny. I keep turning up. So I would say to you, I do this because this is a fabulous place. And I can't help myself. Sometimes my husband wonders what I look like. I'm going to. So please, volunteer, support the library. It's worth it. The library deserves it. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to volunteer and to be a part of the Board of Trustees. It's very important to me. And I invite you to express how important it is to you, to the powers of it.
That's not a mix. Told you, is it sorry?
I told Melanie I only needed 3 to 5 minutes. She put me at the end. I don't think she told me to stay at 5 minutes. You lost. I'm Scott Jenkins. I joined the Board of Trustees not quite a year ago, July last year. And my background has been in management. My professional career, I spent 33 years managing and leading high-performing teams, building high-performing teams. I know how to recognize a strongly performing group and a dysfunctional group. And I can tell you, there is us in the 10.5 months I've been with Samuel's Library Trustees. This is a high-performing team. We all want the best for our children. We always want the best education, the best opportunities, the best that we can give them. And I think as a community, we want the best library that we can possibly have. And I think if you look at the team that is delivering library services here, we've got a dedicated staff of 24 full and part-time employees, staff people. They're incredible, the way they work together, every single person. Melody talked about a smile on their face, no matter the stresses that we're all under right now. But we're all focused on one thing, and that is serving the community the best that they possibly can and working together to do that. We've got a veritable army of volunteers. How many of you are volunteers? Yeah, our volunteers are on track to deliver 10,000 hours of service this year.
There's almost 100 volunteers.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yes.
Fossil. Sydney talked about all the work that Fossil does. Fossil enhances the programs that we offer, raises money, brings a vibrant sense of humor and fun to the environment. And our patrons, we've got over 16,000 patrons. And most of you in the room, I'm going to say, if I ask how many of your patrons, probably every hand would go up. You got all of our patrons are engaged regularly. We have whole families coming here together. We have people that use different services. We have people who are using the online database and services. It's incredible how engaged everybody is working together. And we have a very, very strong board of trustees. We'll soon be up to a full complement with 15. We have 2 new trustees. It's joining us in July, representing all 5 magisterial districts, coming from lots of different backgrounds, professionally, socially, culturally, geographically, but we all live here, but many come from other places. And so it's a very diverse group that has lots of skills and talents. That's our team. All of us together are a team working to fulfill the vision of having the best library that we can possibly have for our community. And it shows. You don't create a team like that overnight. It's taken decades
Melanie talked about 50 years in the public-private partnership and 200 years of history and legacy building up to this point where we're recognized. And then I'll just briefly go over some of the awards. I'm going to read a little bit of this because there's so many awards that we've received in the last 7 months. In March, the Virginia Library Directors Association, that's a peer group, recognized Samuels with the Silver Standards of Excellence Award for our overall achievements. And an Impactful Marketing and Public Relations Award, given in recognition of the forums like this one that we've been holding for the last several months to keep people informed, to give you an opportunity to ask questions, to learn more, to share ideas. We benefit from this as much as you do. Outstanding Program for Adults Award, Taste for Books. That's the best party in town. Absolutely, without a doubt, it's the best party in town. And the Impactful Technology Use Award for Studio 330. Studio 330 is a game changer for us. It really is. It enhances the service offerings that we have in so many different ways and enables people to come in and get hands-on experience with different technologies that we couldn't have even thought of or dreamed of a few years ago. Aaron, I'm going to quote you for just a moment. In your response to those award recognitions that we got in March, and she said, "This is all due to the amazing work of our dedicated staff, our host of volunteers and community partners, all of us working together. They make these awards possible. Our libraries play a crucial role in our communities, and these awards help highlight some of the ways that we engage and serve our patrons. It's an opportunity to reflect on how our libraries fit into and enrich our communities in diverse and significant ways." Thank you, Phil. In October last year, the Virginia Library Association designated Samuels as the Library of the Year. The Fossil Friends of Library was recognized as the Friends Organization of the Year for the March Gap. Equality was recognized as the Trustee of the Year. Yes, it's punishing. And our head cheerleader, she keeps the rest of us energized and under. That's a team. Now, a few facts. We deliver over 500 homegrown programs per year. I say homegrown because we're a community organization. The programming that's offered by this library is tailored, it's conceivable, tailored, and delivered to the community, for the community, by the community. If you have an idea of something that you want to share with others, this is a great forum to do it. Over 500 programs a year are delivered here for children, students, adults, across the spectrum, the whole community. I mean, most of our funding comes locally. Either through county appropriations, donations. We do get a significant input from the state and a little bit of federal money, but the vast majority of our funding comes locally. And when we spend money, it stays local in the community. The salaries that we pay, our staff live here. They're our neighbors. So it pays rents, it pays mortgages, it pays bills. When we hire contractors to do work here, we go out of our way to find qualified local contractors to work with them. Keep things local. We support local businesses. Even when we pay our utility bills, our water, our sewer, our electric bills are paid to the town of Fort Lauderdale. That money stays here. So when we get donations, when we get county appropriations, that money is reinvested into the community to build and strengthen our community. Contrast that with a for-profit company, profits come right off the top, go right out of the community. The early portion of their operating expenditures are going for centralized staff, going right out of the community. A much smaller fraction of what goes to a private company stays in the community. Almost everything that we spend stays in the community. So that's important to note. That, wow, think about all that. Now here in 2025, we're locked into, or it seems like a never-ending battle with the county. It's been said, I've heard that some of the supervisors consider saying it's ungovernable. That's the term that was used, ungovernable. So that, yeah. So mind the awards, the services, community support were ungovernable. So until back for me, what does it mean to be ungoverned or to be governed by Warren County Board of Supervisors? And I'm not picking on any one supervisor, Cheryl, no disrespect. She and I know each other pretty well. I strongly support everything Cheryl does. She's been the one consistent main voice for responsible government, responsible budgeting, and mainly getting by this current board of supervisors governing us. 449 unanswered calls by Fire Station 1 last year. I'm not blaming the fire chief for that. They're doing the best they can, shuffling with inadequate resources to do the best job that they can. But they missed 429 emergency services calls because there wasn't somebody there to answer the phone. We get sheriff's deputies that don't have bulletproof vests. We get sheriff's department and public works vehicles that are long past due to be replaced, long past due. Many of the public works trucks have got over 200,000 miles on them. High maintenance costs for that. We get high turnover from our teachers, our EMS, and our law enforcement employees because we don't pay competitive salaries. And they can go elsewhere and make more money, and they deserve to. We get emergency funds depleted because the county doesn't have any sense of how to maintain buildings and how to set aside money for replacement of important critical components to the HVAC system. So when they break, they have to tell reserve funds to pay for that because they haven't budgeted and planned for it. We got stagnant economic development. I can go into a lot of detail with that. I've got good insights. Having spent 3 years with the Economic Development Authority. There's a small business loan program there that lies dormant. We work very hard to get that re-energized, but then the county pulled its support from the EDA. They don't have any income. The EDA has no staff. The county had been supporting staff and is a fiscal agent. They pulled all that support a year ago. The county also stopped paying its portion of loan payments for the construction of Leech Run Parkway. The town stopped its payments several years ago. County last year pulled the plug on its contributions. So you have an incompleted Leech Run Parkway project, and you have banks.
If you have
And your buddies go on, and the ERA doesn't have money to pay it. So that reflects on the county. And I could go on with EDA. We have inadequate water supply. I know that's been a hot topic for the last 2 years, recognizing that we have inadequate municipal water to support growth. The town and county can't seem to work together to get that resolved. We have an unstaffed director of tourism and economic development position. Money's collecting sedition. It hasn't been filled. Interviews were held, candidates were reviewed, and then everything was put on hold. You have to ask, why was that? So we're longing for why that position wasn't filled. Then Economic development is such a crucial need.
We're all talking last night at one single body. We took that in this.
I'm sure you did. So, with all of that, just a couple quick closing questions. Is it really in the community's best interest for Samuel's Library to be covered by this story? You really trust this board of supervisors to deliver a better set of library services than the Samuel's team? You need to start with the best. What the supervisors are offering is not the best. We deserve better.
Millions, yeah. Think about it. They kind of was like this as well. Think about it. You should this people go to get shit done.
And
The next is sorry, something's better. All right, style.
We have time for a couple questions. I do want to let you know that, Amy will shoot me if I don't let you know, that there's some forms over on the table. We'd love to have your testimonials about how you, feel about the library, how you interact with the library. And then on the second page, we're starting a new, newsletter. It's in the Substack, if anyone knows who the Substack is. It's called Next Chapter News, and you can sign up for it on that too. And in that particular newsletter, different than the one the library sends out, will be the press releases and the updates, Q&As, so that all of the challenges and all of the current information can be in one place. If you need to tell somebody you don't understand what's going on with the library, go to this Substack account and it'll all be right there. So we encourage you to sign up for that and give us your testimonials. All right, and somebody had a question. Hey,
I've actually taken commission with Strauss. That's wow.
Shut.
I'm just over for now.
That's
Oh, my name is Hugh Henry. I'm currently running for the 4th District Board Supervisor. I am a lifelong resident. Oh, no offense to you, they're new here. Oh, only thing I would say is we took you so long to get here. So, there's a couple of things I need to say because the election process is a lot different. I want everybody to understand it completely. Our current board has been infiltrated by a small group. The lady that spoke earlier had indicated that they kind of hide behind the Catholic flag, but they're not really good Catholics. They also hide behind the Republican flag. And I can tell you, as running as a Republican nominee, they're not that either. I can promise you that. They are power hungry. This is not the only group that's been attacked. I will give Samuels credit for putting up the Mace fight for the longest amount of time. It is unbelievable how hard this group has fought. This small group, and I'll go ahead and name names, even though they say it's not politically correct. You can't, Tommy Beck Sr., John Lombard.
don't get us in trouble.
Andrew Q. Henry saying it, not saying the library, for the record. Dr. Jameson, the old way they used to pick a candidate was at a Republican committee, and it was a group just like this. And this group has infiltrated our local Republican committee. And they used to just do a show of hands vote. And they had all intentions of blocking as a candidate by using that tool when they did it in the past. Is how they have seized power of our current board. The primary is a new process, and it took that power away from them. They're curious. They've got lawsuits against it and everything else. But consequently, every voter, registered voter in the 4th District, gets to pick that Republican candidate. I'm in an 80% Republican district. There is no Democratic candidate. There is no independent candidate. There could be one that comes out but they're probably not going to win at an 80% district. This primary is the election. They have picked a prop candidate that he is probably a nice kid. But he is simply a tool. He has created a lot of false narratives with data centers and other fake news things to take the attention away from this group and many others that are in the same trouble. We may not align with everybody in here politically, but I do understand the difference between right and wrong. I can tell you the fact is the faith. It has nothing to do with any of this budget stuff. It is purely a power grab. The only way to beat this is the primary is started now for early voting. The actual election day is June 17th. Energize everyone you know in the Port District and the Half Creek District to come vote in June. If you wait till November, it will be too late. The election is in June for those that don't understand that. It's the only way we'll be able to get the control back. I hope and pray that this is all still here and my vote will count in January to save it. I'm sure with Ms. Millers and Mr. Carter. So it's not just me. You've got to get Happy Creek on board too. And it's 2 elections and they're big. So please come out and vote. And we could do something about this in January.
Just so that you know, that was his personal comments. As a nonprofit library, we are not advocating for any candidates. We do encourage you to do your own research, and we do encourage you to participate in elections. And we appreciate everybody's enthusiasm. Yes.
We do have information about the general elections that you may have seen our display out front that has all candidates, all the different ballots for each of the different districts. So if anybody has any questions, we should have contact information for our registrar's office for this area, as well as some other, like I said, general info. So we're more than happy to answer questions on that. But one more question, and unfortunately, we are close at this point. So
I want to make Mr. Slick comment. I know somewhat of some of what of a inspiration. When all we built our think lot means where it's last thing. You have a worst of names off. I want to assure you, I've called that animal of natives, triangle. I say that because there's not one name on that board that I know for a craft is not really this far. I get into it. There's actually 2, I roughly can't estimate 6 times. And what I can say about those numbers is they're all partisan and they're all multi-denomination. We have differentiated and it's back today. I can tell you that I'm proud about it and some that board, my company's needs. But I just want you to know that there's not one person on that board that would literally question your awesome value. Drag you right down. But I just want you to keep up the good work without fighting small situations.
Keep y'all coming, and if there are any further questions, reach out to us.
We will discuss this.